Some transitions are easy, some are forced upon us, and others happen because we can no longer resist or fight the pain that the current situation gives us. Regardless of how we enter these transitions, we have to talk about one really important factor, and it's the spiritual side of it. Spirituality can help us move through transitions, but there's also a shadow side of transitions. It's spiritual bypassing, potentially spiritual narcissism, and that's what we're going to talk through today. But don't worry, you don't have to just hear my voice babbling on. As usual, I'm joined by my co-host, Adam. Adam, how are you today?
Greetings, brother, and welcome back, Earthlings. I'm feeling good, thanks, mate. I'm a little bit tired today. Had a lot of clients last night, so excuse any brain malfunctioning that may happen during this episode.
We shall forgive you in advance. Right. As it has become tradition, I'm going to start us off with an introductory quote. Now, knowledge is knowing that tomato is a fruit, not a vegetable. Wisdom is not putting it in a fruit salad.
I love that, mate.
I love this quote so much because it's such a kind of light way to look at knowledge and wisdom, and especially for us going through a transition, we try to know a lot. We try to have reason and rationalize what happened and what will happen. But really, it's about a innate wisdom that we need to allow to emerge.
Yes, brother. Absolutely. I think it's almost like where science and spirituality meet. It's not one, it's not the other. It's kind of like a combination of both, and it's being able to sort of discern between the two. Because I think practical guidance and logic and intellectualizing things can help at different points. But I think also a deeper spiritual understanding and connection can also help you through difficult sort of dark moments and help you to look at things with a slightly different perspective. So yeah, I feel there's a blend between the two to be had as you're going through some kind of transition, and I think I see that with clients quite a lot, especially male clients in my hypnotherapy practice, who or from doing counselling as well, who may be coming to me and then they've never talked to anyone for years, or clients maybe that just are having trouble getting over a specific problem and they're approaching it in a very logical, practical kind of way, and maybe missing a deeper sort of spiritual connection that I think, could give them a little bit of comfort and meaning and a kind of a way of expanding how they're looking at something so that they're not feeling quite as stuck. Um, so it's tricky, and I think that understanding only comes from self awareness and going through lots of these experiences. Not to sell the psychedelic journey too much as well, but I think that is one thing that the psychedelics can give you, is that they can break you open to that side of yourself. It's a cautionary tale though, as we know, and we'll come on to future episodes about that. But yeah, I'll drop that in there for now, brother.
Yeah, beautiful, beautifully said. Thank you for putting it this way. And of course, just to reference psychedelics, I agree. But I think the topic is so vast and there's so many caveats that we have to be careful of. But I know both of us are kind of already raring to get going and have a deeper conversation about it. For me, what you just said about men being logic, I have to add that when it comes to attachment theory, I'm an avoidant, which I'm now slowly uncovering and understanding what this means. But yeah, I'm also a man, right? So for me to look at a problem or a situation, my instinct is to look at it rationally. Okay, what happened? What do I need to do? Let's go. And then on top of that, my avoidance side goes like, okay, let's avoid all feeling here,
Mm.
because that is
Mm.
just dangerous and it puts me in a very unsafe spot. But yeah, I think the light side of spirituality will really help you to let go of any attachments, and especially once you move from the ending into the neutral zone of any transitions. This is where you need to trust in something higher than you. What do you think?
Yeah, I think yeah, you've kind of hit the nail on the head there. I feel like having faith in something greater than yourself or beyond you is extremely useful when you're in a difficult, deep, dark place and you can't see a way through or a way out, and you have no point of reference. Um, I think it's obviously very challenging just to be relying on your own thoughts and beliefs. But if you have a belief that's framed around like maybe a higher power, it doesn't have to be necessarily be God, but a higher purpose, a deeper meaning for why you might be going through what you're going through. And for me, that's why I think it's always very useful to look at life happening for you or through you rather than to you. I have no way of telling you that this is exactly the way life is working. I have no evidence for it, but based on how I've looked at my own life and clients' stories and perspectives, that actually you can, if you look at something happening to you, then it just feels like some randomly painful event that's happening to you, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. So that could well be true. But if you look at the same event and you look at it with the perspective of maybe this is happening for me. What's this showing me about myself? What's this showing me about life? What can I really learn from this experience? So suddenly the same experience has given you a wealth of knowledge and data and information that I feel is very useful for your life and your journey, whereas the other one is just a deep dark hole. And I would much prefer to be in a curious place than a deep dark hole, and so that's why I choose to sort of to frame things around life happening for you rather than to you. So I think that speaks to that, brother.
Yeah, but with it then comes also the danger of that spirituality, that you suddenly, because the situation inevitably is uncertain regardless of how you look at it, but you don't know, there's a loss of identity. Definitely in my case, there was loss of control. So then suddenly you cling on to kind of this the spiritual idea, and then it becomes ideology, and every sign becomes meaningful. Fear is disguised as a sign from God, whatever you define the God to be. So maybe you have some tips there how you can discern how to navigate between intuition and fear.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's a really great question, dude. Um, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Discernment is the key. Um, Between being able to kind of assess what's coming through you, because actually just relying on your intuition maybe isn't always right. Maybe actually a bit of logic is needed in order to sort of calculate some information that maybe intuition doesn't quite understand or has a different perspective, and so is discerning between when it's right to use one and when it's right to use another. I think a flow state for me, that's always when
Mm-hmm.
I know I am operating from my truth, in alignment, is that there's this effortless ease that comes through when I'm doing something. Even if it's something I don't necessarily want to do, there's an energizing effect to it. Whereas whenever I'm doing something against my flow, against my truth, there's there's a greater energy expense to it. And so I think being aware of your own inner state and how that's being affected by what your choices are, I think that can help you to become more discerning. Um, I often I do often when I'm trying to make a decision based around the heart, um, creativity, connection, communication, romance. I always try and put my hand on my heart and speak directly to my heart and ask a question from here, from this space here in my body, rather than up here. Um, and for me, when I'm making decisions around around love, then that can really help me. Um, and then again, if I'm making more logical based decisions, then I'll place more of my focus in my head, for using my brain. So that those are the kind of some of the techniques that I use to help me discern between what's right and wrong for me.
Beautiful. I love that. But what immediately came up for me was, gosh, that takes so much responsibility, and you have to really know yourself in order to do that. Um, and and that takes, not only responsibility but courage to finally to also allow yourself to make the mistakes, right? Because as we all know, you have to also find out who you're not in order to find out who you are. And therefore, in this period, to listen to your heart, you need to really sit with it and allow the heart to speak to you. And if you haven't done that for, like I have for, the better part of my now 40 years, 43 years on this planet, I think I've started allowing my heart to speak a bit more since 2018. So, the vast majority of my life, it was purely head, just rational thinking.
Yeah, and I think it's harder historically for men because they're not used to talking about their feelings, and talking about your feelings means that you have to have some understanding of your inner world,
Mm.
and that inner standing only comes from sort of connecting with it and expressing it. And I feel I've been lucky enough to have a mother who is very intuitive, feeling focused, and I think I've been used to talking about my feelings for a long time now and quite open to them. So I think it's like everything. It's a practice, and the more you get used to expressing yourself and talking about these things, the stronger that connection becomes. And I think that's what builds your intuitive sense is experiences, conversations, and sharing, and just regular connecting with that inner world that you have, like being on your own. I've spent a lot of time on my own, being in nature on your own. Done that a lot as well, and so I think these moments of peace and silence, without distraction, enabled you to open up that line of communication with that part of yourself that may usually get drowned out by the noise of the world around you. And because it's a subtle whisper, that you get from your intuition. It's not, sometimes it's a loud like, don't fucking do this again, you know but a lot of the time it's a subtle whisper, and sometimes you need silence to be able to hear it.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, I really do. And, curiosity can mean that you should be curious about the external world, new experiences, new impressions. But then I take it always back to also being curious about yourself. And how I've done this, I've actually written down, like there's this wheel of feelings and emotions, and use the logical mind and rational mind, print it out, hang it up, and so every time you just read emotions, and the next time you feel something, you can refer back. Oh, I'm feeling sadness, or I'm feeling shame, or I'm feeling guilt, or whatever it is that you're currently feeling. But then, especially again for men, this is a helpful way to train that muscle, to train that part of you that kind of, because we all feel, right? But sometimes we don't have the vocabulary to express what we are feeling.
Yeah, Yeah. That's beautiful, brother. Yeah, I use that in therapy a lot. Those feeling wheels. Um, I think things like that for guys, men's circles. There's lots of men's work that's going on these days, which is great because of just because of the rise in male suicide. It's because guys don't speak, and I work with a lot of hypnotherapy and counselling male clients who um, haven't spoken much, and because they've not spoken about things, there's this feeling of loneliness. This I'm alone. I'm the one that's suffering from this. I'm the only one. The shame that surrounds that. But you get into a men's circle, and you start talking about what's going on inside of you and like how you're coping with life. It's amazing because you realize that you're surrounded by other guys who are all going through similar things, and so it gives you this feeling of I'm not alone. And I think that can help to alleviate, these sort of dark thoughts that occupy not just men, obviously women as well, but obviously we know that with men it's much greater because of this historical lack of being able to communicate about the deeper parts of themselves, through fear of vulnerability, sensitivity, and what that means to the masculine ego. Um, so yeah, um, and dude, I wanted to just play us out with a little quote. I don't know if I can really align it with anyone specifically, but I think it's just a commonly known or commonly heard phrase, maybe, about the meaning of life. Um, and so I'm going to just drop it in here. The meaning of life is that there is no meaning other than the one you choose to give it. Boom.
No. Yeah. Boom. Boom. And I want to say more, but I won't. So I think this is a perfect moment to land the spaceship. Dear Earthlings, thank you so much that you stopped by, that you watched our rambling. Adam, thank you for your wisdom that you shared today. It's always a pleasure to sit here with you, to share ideas, to talk about these really meaningful topics that I know both of us we are extremely proud to share, and it's always a pleasure. So thank you. If you have any experiences in transitioning, in going through an ending, in maybe you found a new beginning, how did you do it? Did you use spirituality? And we would love to hear from you. The YouTube shenanigans, please like and subscribe. It would mean the world to us. It means that our word can be spread a bit further. But we thank you for watching. Until next time, goodbye. Adam, any last words?
I'd say I love you, brother. Thank you for today. Another great conversation. I love talking about these topics and the work that we're doing at Inner Earth together. So thanks again, Earthlings, for giving us your attention. It's our oxygen, and I'll see you on the next one.